It's more helpful if you're meeting with people virtually to engage several senses than to just be limited to voice or eyes. So we recommend that you use those meetings really well. You know, get some of this capability. It's not that expensive anymore, and there are lots of them out there. And then get good at operating them. Send things to people before the meeting that they can look at and have in their hands, much as you did for this meeting that was set up today. It helps to have something that you can look at. It helps to see on a computer a PowerPoint presentation while you're talking. We've got many computers come now with cameras built right into them, so you don't even have to attach that separately. Use that function appropriately. There are a lot of things that you can do now with fairly dependable technology that will help those virtual interactions be a lot more effective. If you don't have the travel budget, you don't have the travel budget.
Right.
So you've got to do something else. Don't stop communicating. Don't not have the team meeting. Have it virtually. One tip on teleconferences, by the way, that I'll share in answer to that question. Sure. We've seen people do 2-hour teleconferences. And the fact of the matter is that it's very hard to keep someone's attention for that long. Most of the research indicates that about the longest you can have an effective teleconference is 20 minutes. And if you're going beyond that, you're going to have to do something exciting. You're going to have to do something more. You're going to have to engage more senses for that to be effective, because people will start multitasking. You'll be on the phone and you'll hear them start to pick up their emails and stuff, because it's getting boring. You want to involve them. What a lot of our clients do is that they rotate who's in charge of those meetings. It doesn't always have to be the manager. And different people have different assignments. I'm more involved in something, or I'm more excited about something if I have a responsibility than if I'm just a participant.
That's very good. So have them take responsibility for the various meetings to rotate and keep people involved.
Sure.
That's great.
Another thing that we've seen managers do very effectively is they will sometimes, when most of the group is meeting one place and there might be 1 or 2 people in outlying areas, is they'll put a name tag at the table where the meeting or the teleconference is taking place, so that they remember that that person is there, and they don't forget to speak to them, and they don't forget to involve them in the conversation and ask them questions and engage them. And so a visual reminder of some kind of who is in on this meeting and what is their role and how can we make them feel a part of it is also helpful.
Great. Okay, we have another question from Genentech. It's James, and he writes, how, if at all, would you modify the approach used when the remote workers are not your employees? Workforce supplied by a vendor?
We see a lot of that too. That's difficult.
We do see a lot of that, and that's a particularly challenging. I mean, it's challenging enough when you don't see them. It's even more challenging when they don't report to you. But you strengthen your influencing skills. Good leaders don't require power to motivate and inspire. They use information. They're very effective at sharing customer data, for example, to get people excited. Why is that individual on your team? There must be some sort of common purpose that requires their presence. So work the common purpose, not the power. It's not the threat of firing that inspires people. It's this vision of what we could create together and how we could solve this problem. Get them involved in things. We had a great manager tell us once that you should never share a solution with a person. You should share the problem. And I think that's very insightful. If you get people to think about things and you engage them in working on something, they'll get a lot more excited about it than if you're just handing them an implementation plan to execute. So influencing skills, communication skills, inspiring and motivating people through common purpose, through data, through information, those become very important if someone doesn't report to you.
I think also the startup is particularly important when a team is starting out together, when you have people from different companies. We recommend that people do a number of things. One is to create a charter together to define what is our purpose. And that way you have that joint conversation of getting at the purpose Kimball was talking about, and then also a discussion about what are our roles and responsibilities. So if I'm from one company, you're from another, what are our roles and how do those come together? And be very clear about how we will interact around those roles so we're not stepping over each other. I think there's a conversation about confidentiality. We're learning things about your company and we need to have an agreement about how we will handle that. The operating guidelines is an important discussion to have. So I think the startup is really important in terms of defining roles and purpose and so forth when you're working across companies.
As you've worked with a variety of virtual managers, are there tips or best practices that you would recommend that they use to build up their relationship capital? So that even though they're operating virtually, they just have a strength around building the relationship capital that they can use in the tougher times or when they need it to increase productivity.
I think one of those is using the creativity to feel more engaged and to help the team feel more engaged. So when people see a team leader making an effort, like the individual we talked about who takes a few minutes at the beginning of a teleconference to talk about different people on the team and get to know them, that shows some effort on their part, and it builds, puts money in the bank, if you will, in terms of that relationship, if they can see that kind of effort going.
Yeah, investing in people becomes really important in these kinds of organizations. If you know that someone lost their father, you ask them about that. Even though it's not work related. We had a one client, I love this story, where he had somebody on his team that he had to keep sending out into the field. So they were traveling all the time, and in this case, this was a manager who was in the same location as this other individual. But what he did is he called him, he said, "Bob, I'm so sorry, I've got to send you out again. I know this is hard on your family, you've been out several weeks in a row. Is there anything I can do for you while you're gone?" He said, "Well, you can't do it, but one of the big problems right now is I have not had a chance to mow my lawn." And so this manager, without saying anything to the individual, took his son, went to this employee's house and mowed his lawn. Now, that's a big investment, an investment in time, but those kind of investments pay out big when you need to make a withdraw from your account.
Absolutely.